Namaskar, Chef Rakesh Kumar Gupta. As I had informed you earlier, I will be narrating the autobiography of M.K. Gandhi, Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi, हमारे श्रद्धेय बापूजी. बिफोर आई नरेट, मैं एक इंटरेस्टिंग वाकया बताना चाहता हूँ कि इनकी जो बायोग्राफी थी, ऑटोबायोग्राफी, वो जेल में लिखी हुई थी और गुजराती में ओरिजिनली प्रिंटेड थी. तो फर्स्ट एडिशन वॉज प्रिंटेड इन गुजराती and it was priced at ₹1. The first volume was printed in 1927 and the second volume was printed in 1929. इंग्लिश एडिशन भारतीयों के लिए नहीं था, वो सिर्फ लाइब्रेरी के लिए था और उसकी प्राइस नहीं मालूम थी. द एडिशन विच आई कैरी इज द ट्रांसलेटेड वर्सन. मेरे पास ट्रांसलेटेड वर्सन है, ट्रांसलेटेड बाय मिस्टर महादेव देसाई, और दिस इज अ बुक विच आई हैव रेड इट ट्वाइस एंड थ्राइस, और मुझे लगता है कि शेयर करना चाहिए. बहुत सारी इंपॉर्टेंट घटनाएं आज के संदर्भ में हमें काफ़ी मदद मिलेगी समझने को. बापूजी का संदेश, द मेकिंग ऑफ महात्मा गांधी, चाइल्डहुड, यूथ, एज अ हस्बैंड, एज अ फिलोसोफर, एज अ पॉलिटिशियन, एज अ मॉरल गाइड ऑफ द एंटायर वर्ल्ड, एज अ फ्लैग bearer of truth. So this translation version edition was published, I think, in 1927 and 2007, and it was priced at ₹100 in 2007. So let me begin about what he writes. Mr. Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi ji कहते हैं कि he started writing his autobiography in 1920, fighting it, the Mumbai riot. He participated somehow and he was put in jail along with Sergeant Jairam Das, who motivated him. Why don't you write about yourself, sir? You are so well known, you are motivating and a lot of people follow you. But then somebody again questioned him, कि the principles that you hold today, if it gets diluted, क्यों लिख रहे हो ऐसी किताब? Why are you writing this book? The principles that you follow today may not be true, and then you deviate from it. People will hoot you. People will say so many things about you. Is it right on your part to write these things now? Let some years go by, then whatever you think you can write. He just, as Gandhiji would reply, no, I am not writing people on a philosophical way. I am writing something truthful. And maybe I'll term it as my experiments with truth. Since childhood, the agony I faced, the dilemma I faced being an introvert, and the way I came out of that shell, I would like to write it as my experiments with truth. And then he speaks in his introduction chapter, he says, but I should certainly like to narrate my experiments in the spiritual field, which are known only to myself, and from which I have derived such power as I possess for working in the political field. If the experiments are really spiritual, then there can be no room for self-praise. They can only add to my humility. The more I reflect and look back on the past, the more vividly do I feel my limitations. See, a person going to write his autobiography has already made up his mind. He don't want any self-praise. He wants to reveal himself. And then he further adds, only those matters of religion that can be comprehended as much by children as by older people will be included in this story. If I can narrate them in a dispassionate and humble spirit, mark it, dispassionate, humble spirit. How many of us can do that? If we narrate anything, we say something about ourselves, we become passionate about it. And then we claim, yes, we are passionate. Now, he wants to say everything in a dispassionate and a humble spirit. Many other experiments will find in them provision for their onward march. So, he believes soundly that people will carry it forward if they feel its truth. And he says, why does he want to write this autobiography? What I want to achieve, I read, what I want to achieve, what I have been striving and pinning to achieve these 30 years, 30 years of his struggle, and then he decides to write in Yerwada jail, and then he is released, and later he completes on the request of Swami Anand, who discussed a lot with him what should be the shape of his autobiography. So he says, what I've been striving and pinning to achieve these 30 years is self-realization. You know, when we lecture about entrepreneurs, when we talk about MBAs, we always say a person who is self-actualized. The management guru says self-actualized person is the one who becomes an entrepreneur. So the stage of self-actualization pushes you to be an entrepreneur. You realize your potential, you try to explore it. You have that confidence to explore the unknown. And see, many years back, before this, management guru coined the term self-actualization. Much later, Gandhiji spoke about self-realization. He says self-realization, to see God face to face, to attain moksha. The book, the autobiography written by him, वो कहते हैं कि मोक्ष की प्राप्ति तभी होगी जब मुझे सेल्फ रियलाइज होगा कि मैंने क्या अच्छा किया, क्या बुरा किया. आत्मसंतुष्टि से, आत्मग्लानि से नहीं, आत्मसंतुष्टि से ही मोक्ष की प्राप्ति होगी. And this book maybe was by means and by large an attainment of moksha by Gandhiji. Then these are all the introduction part that I read so many times, and I understood why he wrote it. Then he says, if anything that I write in these pages should strike the reader as being touched with pride. See, he is again that humble fellow. And he says, anything that I write in these pages should strike the reader as being touched with pride, then he must take it that there is something wrong with my quest with attaining moksha. Then if you feel I'm feeling proud of writing these facts, then my purpose is lost. And that my glimpses are no more than a mirage. How wonderfully written. The truthfulness, the purity of thoughts, the purity of his heart, the purity of his mind, and the goal with which he wrote this book should inspire us. And he quotes Surdas. Translated into English, he quotes Surdas, where there is a wretch, where is there a wretch so wicked and loathsome as I have forsaken my maker, so faithless have I been. It's a verse from sung by Surdas, which he has translated and put in English. And then he concludes on 26 November 1925, concluded by Mr. Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi as a preface to this book that he wrote himself. Thank you. And the next chapter will be on birth, age, his childhood. Thank you.